Welcome to Consciousness Chronicles. I am here with my lovely friend Millie. Say hello, Millie.
Hello. So good to see you again.
Usually we're here pulling subject matter from our magic jar over here, but not today. Today we're just gonna talk about some things that have been going on in the collective this past week and just address the current realities that we're being dealt.
Mhm. Let's talk about I want to start with what happened to you this week with the dog. I think it's very important because that brought up so many issues for you and healing on top of the stress that has been in the collective. I think that just turned the knob up a little bit for you
Oh
because
God.
it
Yes.
you've been like me and many others that I get called from or texts. There's been a disconnection, spiritual disconnection in many ways. I mean, it's just this last few weeks that I've actually reconnected in a way that I haven't in a very long time. And I mean, it does help that I'm in Puerto Rico and it's all, I mean, up in the mountains. But aside from that, I've had to detach myself from social media as much as I normally would be on. I don't watch the news. And it's not like I'm digging my head in the sand, as many people say, you're just bypassing. No, I choose my reality. And when I say this to people, they get up and like, what do you mean you choose? I choose what I entertain and what I don't entertain, because as an empath, as somebody who feels so much, if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of anything around me. So tell us about your doggy situation.
Oh, well, let's backtrack a little bit because there was Hurricane Helene came
Hmm.
through the Florida area
Hmm.
and really devastated the mountain area. We are in the process of living between two places. We've parked our RV up in Tennessee, had to rearrange that whole situation because when we planned to go up, Helene was going up there and did her number. Then Milton came along and came straight through our area of Florida. And you don't realize that you're dealing with any kind of post-traumatic stress until
Mm,
you're dealing with it. And sometimes I don't believe people even realize they're dealing with it. I was kind of in a bit of denial about it. I'm just like, okay, it's no biggie, it's over. But then I had all these anxious feelings bubbling up in me, all these I haven't been one to live in fear in a long time since my cancer journey.
mhm.
I was like, after that, fuck it, nothing really frightens me.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden that was bubbling up in me again too, which was very, very strange. And then it's so interesting. I was listening to this psychic on YouTube a couple days before November 5th. And she was like, it's November 5th is Pluto conjunct or
Hmm.
it's a Pluto return year, but it was, I think, Pluto conjunct. And I don't know astrology from
Either.
anything, but she said it's a very violent day. And that was when Pluto was in that situation before she lost her son in a hit and run accident. So then I'm coming home Monday with a very sick cat, very sick. 10-hour drive turns into 12-hour drive, had to deal with tire going flat, driving myself in my husband's truck, and I was
Oh
just like
my
spent.
God, girl.
So then Tuesday comes along, I'm like, I got to run up to the store. I'm going down a 4-lane highway. And I see this little dog walking along, and he's coming right out towards the highway. And I'm like, fuck. I hit my brakes. I check quick to make sure no one's behind me, hit my brakes, come to a stop, and he trots right in front of my car, and the truck in the other lane just boom, he's gone. He's gone. He is gone instantly. And I keep replaying this in my head because I am a huge, huge nature animal lover, as many of us are. Pets
Hmm.
sometimes to me
Hmm.
come before humans. I keep replaying this every morning when I wake up in my head, and
Mm,
it's horrible, but yet something came out of this for me that I think I've needed for a very long time. It was like when I replay it in my head, this little happy dog trotting out in front of me. Now he escaped from his family's house. His family put out, searching for our dog
mhm,
on social
mhm,
media and all of that. And I believe I was able to reconnect them to where his body was. But he's trotting out in front of me, and it feels like his soul left before his body even felt the impact. I
mm,
felt that happen. And I've always been one that really struggles every time I pass roadkill, every time I see an animal
mhm,
die, a horrific death. It it really bothered me. But it was like this. I pulled over immediately. I saw the physical body convulsing, but I knew the dog wasn't there. And I watched it, as morbid as that sounds, but I needed to because I needed to know that wasn't the dog anymore.
mhm,
That
mhm,
wasn't this family's pet anymore. It, she left, before the suffering incurred. Now, after that, I got a couple good Samaritans to help me move the body out of the road because I'm like, oh my God, I want this family to recover their dog. I don't want them to have to find their dog
mhm.
smushed on the highway. So fortunately that happened, but it was very, very emotional for me.
Baby.
But it was good because I needed to physically see and know the connection between the body and the soul. It's not like I didn't know it, but
You witnessed it.
I witnessed it. I actually physically witnessed it. So it really, I think it sunk in, and I needed it to really sink in. So then when I see these poor animals dead on the side of the road, it's not something that traumatizes me every time. I can know they didn't suffer. It's horrible. Don't get me wrong, it's horrible, but I never want to know that the animals suffer at
Yeah.
all. And then, the asshole that hit him drove off, and that really
That's
did
a hard part. That's a really hard part to
that
understand.
didn't set well because, I want to extend grace to people. Maybe the person was in shock. I don't know. I It just infuriated me.
20 years ago, I went to pick up my 16-year-old. He was at a friend's house. We were living in Florida, in Central Florida. And I was leaving, actually, I dropped him off at a friend's house. And I was leaving in the back roads when a poodle, an old poodle, went right in front of me. I couldn't even stop. It went right between my front tire and my back tires, just went right through. And I stopped and I was devastated. I couldn't even I mean, I stopped. He came out of the house apparently, and the guy that came out, came out screaming and crying. I mean, how do you say I'm sorry to somebody that you just killed their dog? But what he did say, like that night, I kept calling, is there anything I can do? He said to me that he had several hours to understand. So the dog was his father's dog. His mother had been gone way before that. The father had died a week before this, and they didn't know what they were going to do with the dog. And the dog ran out and basically committed suicide or something because he just needed to be with his owner. That's how I interpret it. That's how he interpreted it. And the guy wasn't woo or anything. He was in his 40s. But basically, the way he said was, we didn't even know what we were going to do with the dog. And we live in another state and we got to get rid of the house. And here's this dog runs out and gets killed. Didn't make me feel any better, but at least I knew that the dog's soul was ready to go. I mean, I had to take it that way. And I am certain that in this case, that dog decided to also go in that certain way. I mean, I have to believe that we all have a contract on how, exit, and we don't really know how we're going to go. I don't think it's just, but to witness that is, oh, I felt you the other day, and I'm so sorry you experienced that. But I also know that you had to get all this stuff out of you. That was the catalyst for all the other things the last 5, 6 weeks. And Mulder, your cat. I mean, there's been a lot of grief and a lot of PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah, and the collective, you can feel it. Everybody's dealing with it right now. Everybody's going through some sort of emotional purging.
Or grief,
That's,
however, it's
yeah,
big. Yeah.
right.
I'm seeing it on social media. I
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't. You know, I learned long time ago. I choose to stay in a higher energy. And, I think I've been accused of spiritually bypassing, and every time I get that word, or just avoiding things, or just trying to be, whatever,
I
whatever
have
people
never seen
think.
you do that ever.
But that doesn't mean that in my personal life, I don't struggle like everybody else, and I share openly about it. But do I want to live in a victim mode? Do I want to go all these horrible things that happen, which are just lessons in my path and yours? They're challenges. Do I have to stay there? I get to choose how I'm going to navigate. Doesn't matter what's around me. This is my choice. This is how I can survive this life. Because back in April, I tried to take my life. And that wasn't my proudest moment. I mean, I hit rock bottom. Nobody knew. Nobody knew that I took an X amount of Xanax and went to sleep, and, I was out. And so, do I want to relive those moments where, you know, I wanted to check out of here because it was too much? Do I want to write about it? Do I want to? Not really, because what is that going to do? And I share it now because I know there's so many people struggling with grief right now and this uncertainty. And the reality is, you get to choose how you show up in the world. You get to choose what energy. If everybody is in a low frequency of sadness, and everybody has the right, we all go and navigate through shit. It's shitstorm is real. It doesn't matter if it's political, religious, if it's financial, if it's, the loss of a loved one, or whatever it is. We're not exempt from life. This is, and you and I have said this many times. The higher you go in the evolution of your spirit and your soul, the game gets harder. The shit that gets thrown to you gets even deeper. Why? Because you learn these lessons, or you're leveling up consciously. What? You think you're just going to breeze right through them? No, you're going to have even more challenges. And the way you deal with them is by accepting that this too shall pass. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't pass. Maybe you sit in there in that muck for a long time. Maybe the illness lasts 6 months. Maybe the illness lasts years. I remember my father had, I was talking with my partner yesterday. My father had like 3 or 4 open heart surgeries. My father was like horrible health. And then he got prostate cancer. And the cancer lasted like 4 years of bedridden. Like, he paid for whatever karmic shit he had. And then he had dementia. Like, he was stuck in his body on a bed for 4 years in total pain and wouldn't let go. I mean, and yet when I would talk to him, even though he didn't know who I was, he would tell jokes. He chose to not stay in that place of woe is me. This body's given out on me. My mind is not there. But I got a joke for you. You know what I mean? Like, you get to choose, even in your deathbed, how you're going to show up. So for people that are really struggling right now, I got nothing, because when I get out there and I get bombarded with comments when I write something like, you know what? I'm out. I'm gonna live looking at the mountains and being with my loved ones and just be in a happy place because I'm not responsible for how somebody else takes what I write or what I share. Or even when I have a session with somebody, you know that what the messages that come through are not. I tell people all the time they want to know something, and I go, I can't tell you anything that your higher self is not willing to let you know. This is a piece of cardboard. I always tell them, this is a piece of cardboard. This does not hold any kind of information. It's just a piece of cardboard. You take the information however you want. It's just paper. That's it. How do you want to navigate through this challenge is up to you. Nothing that I could tell you or not tell you is going to matter. Ultimately, you have to own that. You have to own that space.
Well, the
And I
emotional space that you're in is going to dictate how you interpret something too.
absolutely, and that's the problem
So,
that there are people right now not able to hear or
right.
see. Um, and it's sad. I mean, I have strong opinions, but it's sad. I don't,
It's frightening. It's frightening that everybody's getting spun up and out of control. It's like, let's just take a collective deep breath and pull ourselves back for a minute.
do you feel that there is, well, you and I have spoken about this, like there's a huge division in the world right now, in the United States. Do you feel that the part that is of a higher spiritual consciousness, it's actually able to help the other part that is on so 3D level that they can't see past this? Do you think that people like, you know, people that are highly spiritual, not me, but people that are highly spiritual can actually help? I mean, is there help? Is there like, I don't know. Do you feel that?
I feel there's a lot going on. A few things that I think is one, are we shifting the timelines? Are the people that can stay in a space of neutrality, stay aligned to their heart center, um, can keep holding a higher vibration, and God knows it's freaking hard, hard, hard right now. But those people, are they starting to split off from the other ones? Is
Mhm.
that what's taking
Mhm.
place? And the other thing is perhaps there's really nothing for us to do but just live our aligned life and lead by example, not necessarily offer much more than I'm not gonna
That's where
let
I'm at.
XYZ get to me, you know?
That's where I'm at. I'm here just, I'm just right underneath the radar going, I'm just going to do this. And because it requires everybody to open up their hearts, get out of their headspace, and actually tune into that. The heart never lies. The mind will fuck with
Oh
you.
God,
It
yes.
will completely do you wrong. It will
Yeah.
create scenarios. It will cause you fear. The heart doesn't. The heart and the gut will always tell you exactly what you can and cannot do, what's right for you. And what might be right for you is not going to be right for me because I'm in a whole completely level of, awareness. But if you're constantly in your head, listening, paying attention, trying to navigate what is being told to you, what program is coming on constantly in the background, you're really not deciding for yourself. You're actually just allowing your own biases and your own um, experiences, mostly from wounding and fear, to play out the reality around you. I mean, how many times have you and I been told that can't be done? I'm an Aries. You don't tell me that can't be done. You
Right?
don't tell me that because you know what? The minute you tell me that, I'm like, oh, watch it. You know, How many times that you're the same for
Yeah,
me to
a stubborn
somebody,
Pisces here.
I know for me to have someone say to me, you can't do that. And I know I mean, there are times that I know I can't, and I'm not going to prove just to go against the grain, just to be a rebel. But when I know, and somebody tells me that that can't be done, or that's not going to happen, or whatever they, from their perspective, like, okay, watch.
There really is a collective kind of, okay, I'm gonna get really down the rabbit hole for some of y'all that maybe haven't gone here, but there is a collective psychosis that's been created through the media to really get people ramped up, living in fear so they can feed off of that energy right now. And I don't know that even us leading by example is going to assist in that. I'd like to believe it will, but it might be something that just has to just keep churning until the chaos implodes somehow. That's what I'm getting.
I agree. I agree. And what keeps coming in my meditations and my when I detach from my body is that I'm to just hold space for what's right in front of me. I don't have to figure it out. I don't even have to worry about what's going to happen next month. I really don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. But
And
I'm
what a waste of
definitely,
time to worry about any of that anyway.
and I'm not going to turn on the news to find out what you're going to tell me. I don't, I mean, I remember being a kid, and I'm sure you had the same. I remember being a kid, and my mother was a lot older, and she had me at 44. So I know it was a different time. It's like looking at the, what is that? What is that show with the old ladies that wasn't old? The Golden Girls? Is that what
Yes.
that show?
Yes. They were
You
like
know,
our age, right?
they were our age and they look like they were like 70 or 80 years old, right?
Yeah.
And that's how my mother was in her 50s when I was like 10 years old. She was just like 54. I remember thinking the age gap here is so wide. There's no way that she can understand. Not only are we in a different culture, we weren't in Puerto Rico anymore. We were in the United States. Things were done very differently. And I remember just anything she would say that did not sit well with me, I would do the opposite. But I wouldn't do the opposite that she would catch me doing the opposite. I did the opposite. So I knew that I could do it. When it came to her, I was still this good little girl that, never got in trouble. Damn, if my mother knew that half the stuff that I did, because I had to prove to myself, you can't tell me what to do when I know that I can navigate this. And I know from my gut that it's different than what your reality is. And I remember being a teenager and thinking that. And then, of course, that plays out in your life. You get, you get used to not owning what someone tells you. I have a friend that always says, 1,000 people can love you and tell you what a wonderful human being you are. One person can tell you what a shit show you are, or this or that. You stop believing the 1,000 people and you start believing that one person.
Mm, I love that.
And that is exactly what's happening in the world right now. I could tell the same loving information, the same loving things to somebody and be a cheerleader or love, and great. But there comes one person that can do the opposite. That's it. It stops. We tend to believe the negative because we've been brought up and conditioned in our world to live in constant fear. So why would we go into the positive side, which is so much easier to live in? It's so much easier to raise your vibration and live in that knowing that God is always watching out for you, that the universe is always aligning for your greater good, that the universe is always working in your favor. That's great in theory. To put it into practice, that means that every single thing that you have been programmed to believe since childhood is erroneous. It doesn't fit. So we tend to fall back into that belief system that we're not worthy of better, that we have to work a certain amount of hours a day and have to do this in order to make money, that we have to, all these belief systems. And within the belief systems, then you have cultural systems, because a culture might believe completely different from one place to another. And then you have race play into it. And then you have whatever wounding or traumas that you had as a child go back into that. So what makes up a human being are all these collections of everything from childhood and everything that you've experienced that create your inner and outer reality. How do you shift that? You don't shift it by sitting there and going, woe is me. I'm going to live in this victim. You're going to continue doing exactly what you've been told to do. You shifted that, leaving the discomfort, the comfort into the discomfort, because that's where the magic happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if somebody's willing to do that right now, first of all, you got to be a really strong person to be willing to
Mm-hmm.
do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know where to start, reach out to somebody. Reach out to
Yeah,
somebody. You're here, I'm here.
right.
There's hundreds of thousands of people like us out there that are navigating this that would be willing to assist. And with that said, I want to share what you sent to me the other day after I
Oh yeah, I
witnessed
don't
the
remember, but
dog
that
getting
wasn't for
hit.
me.
Because I think I was nudged to share this because I think you can insert any one of you out there can insert this into your life right now because it's not just directed solely at me because of the situation. I think it's applicable to everyone. And you said witnessing such a heartbreaking event can serve as a reminder of life's fragility and the inevitability of both endings and beginnings. Can you tell he's feeling better? He's getting mouthy now, which mirrors her own transformation and transition, meaning you, me. Observing the dog's journey from a joyful trotting down the road through its sudden departure can symbolize often unpredictable and uncontrollable nature of life and the importance of presence, compassion, and connection in each moment. The pup, full of life and innocence, enters the path of fast-moving forces, highlighting the vulnerability of even the most vibrant beings. I think that spiritually, this may invite your reflection on how to move through life, often quickly without pausing to recognize the impacts it may leave. This could mirror your need to slow down, pay attention to your own surroundings, honor the journey and others' paths with presence and care.
You know that
That
didn't come from
is
me. I don't write
so,
that.
that is so beautiful. Well, whoever brought it through you,
Yeah,
thank you
yeah, you
because
could thank them.
it's applicable to so much right now, not just my situation.
But I think that, you know, this storm, the last few storms that came through created so many questions for so many, of what their reality. One of the things that I know to be true was when I moved to Asheville, 14 years ago, I found that it was the greatest, safest place. There was no hurricanes that went through. The winters were supposed to be mild, other than the normal flooding during rain because of all the rivers and the creeks, the flooding if it rained too much. But it was just in certain areas. The same with Milton. So it it questioned faith. It questioned a lot of things that most people don't want to talk about because it's conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? What it does is it actually allow what I'm seeing spiritually is that more things are happening to shake us and wake us up. Doesn't matter what you believe in. When there is a catastrophe, whether it's a natural catastrophe or a man-made catastrophe, it doesn't matter. Even if it's just in your life, just in your life that you lost someone. What a way to shake us up. It's at that moment that our reality gets completely shaken where we don't know if we're coming or going. I remember when my mother died, and I still think about it. She died. We all knew she was going to die. And for weeks, even though I was prepared for it, she died 11 days before my 40th birthday. I kept seeing her walking into places. I would look at somebody and it looked just like her walking into places so many times that I could get out of the car, park, and run into the place, even though I saw her in her casket. You know what I mean? Like literally saw her dead. And there were times where I kept saying to myself, how can no one be sad? How can nobody be sad? This woman left this world. My mother left this world. And what a hard relationship I had with my mother. And I still question, you know, how could, even in those moments, how is it that the world hasn't stopped spinning? How is it that no one can understand the grief that I'm going through? How is it that you're going about laughing and making these jokes to people that I didn't know me and they didn't could be they were having a good time around me or whatever. I wanted them to feel the pain and the loss that I was feeling. And that's exactly what's happening right now. You can't tell people how to feel right now because they want to be seen, they want to be heard based on what their experiences are over whatever. And there have been some shit show going on. You know what? Because the one thing that we want more than anything is an acknowledgement that we're not alone. So if I am not in your same alignment and you're writing something or you're sharing something, and I'm over here trying to be positive, it feels like a rejection. Like, how dare you not know that I am in grief, that I'm at a loss because the person that I wanted to be in charge of this country is not the right person, or the person that fired me didn't see. In other words, that's where the anger and the disconnection around us is happening, where people are at a loss because of their grief and their sorrow, and they want everyone around them to acknowledge what they're experiencing. And the last thing they need is a cheerleader saying, it's okay, you can create and shift this. No, because they're not ready to hear that.
Yeah. And it's all done by design.
Absolutely.
They want us
Absolutely.
divided. And gosh, a lot of people are subscribing to that. It's okay. I'll buy into that. Screw
I
this side. I'm on this side.
I remember when I went through the court in December, and the judge took forever to decide if I was going to be able to bring the kids with me or if my ex-husband was going to have it. I had a woman call me, a dear friend, and she said to me, this is the best thing that could ever happen to you.
I
Had she
love
been in front of me, I think I would have chicken choked her. I was so angry at the fact that she couldn't see the grief and the loss that I was experiencing. 2 days later, I tried to take my life. And as the months went through, I remember calling her like 4 months after and thanking her because she tried to get me to see the bigger picture, that these were lessons that we've all come in because there's lessons for everybody. I'm not exempt from the pain. And it was a huge aha moment where I thought, how dare I not experience it in a very spiritual manner from the grief that I was feeling? I wasn't ready. So when people get like that with me now, especially the last 6, 7 months, I'm like, they're not ready, and it's okay. I don't have to be here to lift them. I just might as well just zip it and not say anything because if you're not ready to hear, you're not ready to hear. And I feel that that's exactly what's happening in the collective right now. You know, and it's not just in the United States, it's everywhere. There's so much going on. Um, we could either zoom in or zoom out. Either way, you have to do what's right for you. I'm sweating bullets here, and I'm sorry. I know it looks like I'm
Oh, no, it's okay. It's
it's
okay. It's
human.
beautiful where you are. I
It is
wish I
beautiful. It's
could
also human.
jump through the screen and
I
be
know. I
there
wish
with
you were
you.
here too. Are you kidding? That'd be great. But yeah, I think that just like you, we are experiencing a lot of, if we allow for it, the release to come up. In your case, it was the dog. In other people's cases, it's something even more drastic. I mean, my heart goes out to, in just the last 5, 6 weeks, all the people that have lost things in Asheville, the surrounding areas, in Florida, in Spain, in Vancouver, in Italy, the last few months. I mean, people in Chile. I mean, there have been similar storms and similar things with water that um, people are really experiencing massive amount of loss. And I don't. There's nothing I can say or you say that's going to make those people feel better. It really isn't.
No, there really isn't. In this is another thing I noticed too when we were in East Tennessee. When you see a house totally demolished by a flood and all the debris that comes with it and all the debris along the riverbanks, the space holds that sadness as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's hard to witness, and that's going to take some clearing as well.
Here in Puerto Rico, it's been 7 years since Maria hit,
Mm,
and there are still chunks and places on this island that have been completely devastated. It looked like a bomb hit it. And, there's a lot of houses since then that have been vacant for years and years, and no one lives there because people just couldn't afford it and they got up and left. So there's a sense of loss sometimes as I'm walking through these mountains and I see, I'll see a house and then I'll see a house and you could tell that there's a tree in the middle of it because they're just they didn't have the money or they were devastated or they just couldn't deal with it. And it's really hard. There's this sadness that comes to me when I think how many people would love to have this house and yet, you know, it's it's just sitting there. So I can't imagine um the PTSD that's moving through the people up in North Carolina and other parts of the world that are experiencing this. And it's not like, okay, my house got taken. It's thousands of people that are experiencing collectively in an area. So you could imagine, I mean, the resilience that's coming and the strength that's coming from those areas of community is magnificent. And that's the other side of the coin. Devastations like 9/11 or devastations like catastrophic, they provide an opportunity, a platform for people to come together and really help in humanity. Now, is this by design? Who God knows? I have no idea. I don't know if I wouldn't even dare share my thoughts in that. But where people could live next to each other, not even say hello to each other, which happens a lot, or, just wave, all of a sudden they're feeding each other, making sure that they have enough. And there's a beauty of just the simplicity of gathering hearts and really working to rebuild a community. You don't have that otherwise. And
Oh,
that's beautiful.
all the Amish that came down from
Oh my
Pennsylvania.
God, right?
That that touched me so deeply. And yeah,
So
I'm
there's that other side. There's that other side of the story. There's that other side of every story where you fall and then you have people that are ready to help you rise again.
yeah,
So you could either stay in that space of fear and depression and loss, or you could navigate slowly to that other side that, you can actually create a new life for yourself.
yeah. Perseverance. I mean,
Perseverance.
you just it's so cliche, one day at a time or 1 minute at a time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Just keep
Estoy en un
moving
video.
forward.
No, 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 it's okay. Sorry, my cousin. What I do have to say is, whatever side you are right now navigating, whatever side you're navigating, I hope that you're coming from a level of awareness and open heart. And if it means to stay there and really feel the pain because you have to in order to navigate to the other side, then do so. But try not to stay in a place where you're bringing all those around you also down with you. Help the community or where you are around you to at least try and see the light.
Feel it, acknowledge it,
Yeah.
move it, move it through, send it to God.
What is that saying? Toxic positivity. That's a new term.
I love it.
Well, it all depends. That's what do you call
Except early in the
toxic?
morning before coffee, I don't like.
Yeah.
Mm. I love
Thank
you.
you. I love you too. I've missed being on these with you.
Yeah. Well,
But I get to see you
we've
all the
been
time. All
we've
right.
all been dealing with a lot of
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
We had
Absolutely.
it. We had to take a hiatus, didn't we?
We did. We did.
And hopefully in the next couple weeks we can get back on a regular schedule. That
Well,
would
I
be
love you,
nice.
lady.
I love you.
Be good to you, okay?
Thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you.